Welcome to this Fantasy Focused live edition as we break down some draft day surprises. It's myself, Derek Tate, and my boy Bucky, Matt Bucks. Bucky, how you doing over there in Tampa Bay, baby? It's draft season. I'm freaking pumped here, man.
It's draft season. It's also quarantine season, which means for me, it's golf season. I shot the greatest round of my life today, which is a humble 87. I had never broken the 90 mark, Tate, so to say my spirits are high would be a vast understatement. I am ecstatic to be on with you. I'm feeling great. Life is good. Got another round lined up tomorrow and another one on Sunday. We're trying to break records out here, and we're trying to draft some damn good fantasy football teams.
We already completed one of our drafts, and by the way, congratulations on your round of golf, because I recently played, and I think I shot – it was something like 61 through the front nine. So
I've seen worse.
It was bad, but I made par on one shot or one hole. So I'll take that. But let's break down. We actually completed a 14-team PPR league, just standard one quarterback, not super flex or anything crazy like that. You have to start 3 wide receivers, 2 running backs. You get 1 flex spots, no defense kickers, any crazy shit like that. 1 tight end, 1 quarterback, no tight end premium or anything of that nature. We want to talk about some surprises, though, because we can sit here and study the ADP and study, mock draft after mock draft after mock draft. But once the bullets are flying and once you're actually playing for money or whatever you're competing for in your fantasy league, people's opinions change pretty quickly. You really find out how you feel about a player when you're actually depending on them to produce for your team and potentially win a league. So with the 14-team league that we completed for our listeners league, by the way, if you're just now joining us here on Fantasy Focus, go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe, all that good stuff. But were there any picks in particular that really jumped out to you in our first completed draft of the 2020 redraft season?
I would say the first one that stands out would be Joe Mixon there for Jordan Tate, the Dow. So here's the baffling statistic, right? Leonard Fournette has been a far more effective fantasy player over the last 3 seasons than Joe Mixon. Yet here's Joe Mixon on basically a faulty Cincinnati roster from top to bottom. I think they'll be playing from behind quite a bit this season. I understand the talent that Mixon has, but then when I see Leonard Fournette making it all the way to the back end of the second round, which is in a 12-team league, he's in the 3rd round. That to me is baffling. And so I wanted to start with just the comparison between Joe Mixon and Leonard Fournette. And I wanted your thoughts because you're the more analytical of the two of us. I'm more gut, visceral reaction type guy. Joe Mixon for me does not check all the boxes of a first-round pick, and I'll tell you why. Number 1, I don't like the offense. Number 2, I just feel like at the end of the day, I prefer everybody else on the board from picks, I would say 10 through 14. I prefer Mahomes. I don't prefer Hopkins, but I actually like Eckler more than I like Joe Mixon. So I want your thoughts on Joe Mixon, but also why is Leonard Fournette being slept on the way he is?
So I once upon a time did a top 5 reasons to avoid Leonard Fournette little mini series. And the reason being, the writing is kind of on the wall. We've talked about this in some of our running back by committees. I like to stay away or avoid players altogether that the team has basically come out and said that they really don't like or don't endorse long-term. And that doesn't become any more apparent than with Leonard Fournette, who is entering the final year of his rookie contract. The Jags had a team option to pick up his 5th year, and they didn't.
You're calling them the Jags now, not the Jaguars?
I'm trying to stay away from Jaguars because that's my way of pronouncing things. East Lake. I just seem to over-enunciate and straight up mispronounce some things. But
I like it.
When it comes to Fournette, though, there are some concerning things because his receiving production was fantastic last year. But are we convinced that he's going to see that type of volume again when Jay Gruden is now the offensive coordinator there in Jacksonville, and he brought along Chris Thompson along with him? They're not going to use him or not going to exercise his 5th-year rookie option. I just think that the writing's on the wall. I don't even know if he finishes the year with the Jacksonville Jaguars. I just really think that he could be traded. I mean, to a team that ends up needing a running back because they were shopping him in the offseason. So if I don't feel comfortable with his situation, if he finishes the year as a Jacksonville player, or whether or not, I have no idea where he's going to get traded to or anything of that type of, it could turn into a Kenyon Drake thing if he hits the right landing spot. But there's just not a lot of things that make me feel good about his upside. I thought that we saw a great floor last year because of the pass catching role that kind of was just thrust upon him. And I don't think that's going to happen again in 2020.
See, I'm going to disagree with you here. I'm intrigued by the opportunity of a trade. And I also think that there's nobody that's going to challenge for first and second down touches there in Jacksonville beside Leonard Fournette for the foreseeable future. If that trade comes, I welcome that trade because it'll clearly be a team, Washington, we're looking at you, that could really utilize his services. And I think that there's reason to be optimistic there. I don't think it's a reason to be pessimistic and to doubt this guy who he hasn't been a first-round player. By no means am I saying that.
Right.
What I'm challenging is what makes Joe Mixon a first-round pick for you?
Okay, so now we're going to Mixon, which...
Yeah, because I would have preferred Leonard Fournette over Mixon.
And that's fair if that's your... I don't have it that way. I think that Mixon... Even though, look, last year he got off to a horrid start. Like the first 8 games of the year, he was almost unstartable and damn near droppable. Like it was that close. But he still finished the year as the running back 13 in PPR formats, and he was exponentially better the last month of the season and actually came through in the fantasy playoffs for a lot of owners. And I just don't see a world where Joe Burrow is going to be a downgrade from Andy Dalton. And in particular, say what you want about A.J. Green's health. You know, if A.J. Green's healthy, it's just going to create more scoring opportunities for this offense. And even if he doesn't play, that's why they drafted T. Higgins, and Auden Tate isn't a bum, and neither is Tyler Boyd. So there's going to be more scoring opportunities in this passing offense with better quarterback play under center, because I really believe Joe Burrow is the real deal. So, I mean, he's going to have his rookie struggle games, but the dude is going to keep firing away, and this team is going to put up more points to start the season. And if you really mapped out what Mixon did over the last 8 games of the season, he was exponentially better than what he was to start the year. So I think he's a little bit closer to what we saw finishing the year, and this offense should be vastly improved up front and with Burrow under center.
So do you prefer Mixon over, say, Kenyon Drake, Josh Jacobs, Miles Sanders?
I prefer him over Miles Sanders and Josh Jacobs. I do not prefer him over Kenyon Drake.
Hence why you drafted Kenyon Drake, as you highlighted.
Oh yeah. Oh, you know me, man. You know me. I'm a big Kenyon Drake guy. I'm high on. I just don't know how this offense didn't essentially give him the green light. Like, yeah, Chase Edmonds or Eno Benjamin may be involved, but it's Kenyon Drake's going to see the most snaps, most touches out of this backfield. And if we think that this offense is going to get exponentially better in Kyler Murray's second year and bringing on DeAndre Hopkins, you know, who's going to benefit from that? A pass catching back in an air raid system. Kenyon Drake's going to have a great year if he stays healthy.
See, I don't even look at him as a pass catching back. I think he's just a great all-purpose back.
Miami didn't. I mean, you talked about Fournette being kind of like this year's Kenyon Drake, potentially if he gets traded. If
I would love it.
I mean, it'd be cool because I think Lenny can still play. I just think he's
25 years old, 26.
Well, no, I didn't mean it in that sense. It's more so his efficiency, though. Like his efficiency hasn't been of that of Christian McCaffrey, who was in the same draft class, Dalvin Cook, a healthy Dalvin Cook, have both been more explosive, but I think they're just in exponentially better situations than Fournette is in Jacksonville.
Yeah, 25 years old. He'll be 25 this whole season.
So
I'm going to put my chips in on Lenny Fournette. I haven't drafted him for the record, though. As you see, as I took Nick Chubb instead of Lenny Fournette there. But I think that was an easy one.
I mean, so what's the difference, though? I mean, when we talk about Joe Mixon, don't we think that he's probably going to be the bell cow back there? Bernard maybe spelling him every now and then in third down situations.
Certainly the bell cow back. I just haven't seen enough from Joe Mixon. I haven't seen the consistency. With Nick Chubb, I think he's a reliable ball carrier. He's a guy that will just bulldoze through the tackles. He also has that shift in his game. And I honestly look for Cleveland to improve this season. I think Cleveland, they bought the hype as a whole for the entire team last season, and starting and definitely most definitively with their quarterback, who I think just played like an asshole all year.
Asshole.
Pardon my French, but that's how I felt about it. I mean, it just did not look like a guy who did all the prep work going into these games. He did not look prepared. And then you see what happens on the other end of it. I mean, this is a team, a lot of folks were saying, 10-6, 11-5, 12-4. This team's going to play. They got the talent. Look, the NFL, everybody's got talent. It's about the preparation. It's about what goes on between Monday and Friday. And you better be sure that you have all your shit together going into practice. And I think that a year removed from all the hype, everybody sleeping on the Browns as a whole, I really look for them to improve pretty immensely on the offensive side. So Nick Chubb is just a guy I loved watching in college, and he didn't do anything to prove me otherwise last season. I think he was a very effective runner. Obviously, he kind of sputtered a little bit. If he can stay healthy, though, I think Nick Chubb could play upwards of top 10 running back this year.
I know you say sputtering, though, but I mean, part of the reason that the person that put putter in that stutter is your boy Kareem Hunt. Once Hunt came back,
I'm not worried about Kareem.
Chubb was why shouldn't you be concerned about? I mean, he's a former rushing champion. I mean, he led the league in rushing his rookie season with the Kansas City Chiefs, and I think I think we can say that at least the Browns trust him more in a pass catching role than they do Nick Chubb. I get that there's going to be plenty of, carries and touches for Nick Chubb. And I think this offense is going to run through the running game, which we didn't even mention that they drafted Jedrick Wills out of Alabama. And they also signed, I think, the best, free agent offensive lineman and, out on the market this year with Jack Conklin. And just Austin Hooper as well. But they're going to run the football more with Kevin Stefanski taking over there in Cleveland now. I like Chubb. I just don't understand why folks are overlooking the fact that Kareem Hunt is clearly there and clearly going to be involved in an offense that still has a ton of mouths to feed.
I look for Nick Chubb to have 40-plus touchdown runs. 40-yard plus touchdown runs each game. Sorry, not 40 touchdowns. He's
going to set the record for
Jesus. Can you imagine a guy with 40 touchdowns in fantasy? That'd be awesome.
That would be pretty damn sweet. Just start him every week and just leave the rest of the roster blank.
Chubb is electric. Just give me Chubb. But looking back, if I can look back, I could have easily made an argument for Leonard Fournette there instead of Nick Chubb. But I got a Chubb for Chubb, man.
Understood. So when we're talking about other draft picks, though, that kind of stand out in this 14-team format, and again, you can go ahead. Some folks jumping in live. Of course, we love everybody that jumps in live. Dried Ocean saying Bucky is back. That's simple. Will Jenkins, Washington's good with AP, and we can talk a little bit about Adrian Peterson in that backfield here in a little bit. I know you like Antonio Gibson there, Buck.
I do like Antonio Gibson, Swiss Army knife. I've always been a sucker for these Swiss Army knife guys.
See, I'm not a Percy Harvin guy. Like, I'm not a big gadget play guy. I like guys that have defined roles and really commit to one position because, it's more the wave of the NFL where they're buying and just trying to get players that are good in space. You know what I mean? Like, it just seems as if that's the wave of the new NFL is buying these hybrid running back / slot receivers that just can take the top off of a defense and move all over the formation. But
you mentioned Percy. I got to talk about Percy. Okay?
Talk about Percy.
If it wasn't for the migraines that plagued him, Percy Harvin, in my opinion, could have been one of the not best ever, but most electrifying players in the NFL. And in short spurts, see the Super Bowl. The guy is just as good as it gets in terms of an athlete on the field. I'm not comparing Antonio Gibson to him, but I think AP, yes, he'll take the load, but you can get AP late in drafts. And I think it's worth the one handcuff I love this year, which I executed in our other draft, not to just talk about me. There's plenty more to talk about, but I went with a Gibson in the 8th and then AP in the 10th. And I have that on lockdown now. And that feels good until they get Leonard Fournette and I'm screwed.
Or Bryce Love actually.
No, I'm not buying the love. I'm hating the love.
I feel like you're overlooking Bryce Love, but I mean it is what it is. That's going to be a running back by committee muddled mess until one player kind of emerges, and I think you're going to see the clearly defined roles. I feel like we're going to see Antonio Gibson in something that we saw Darius Geis when he was healthy. He sucks. Glad he got released. Whatever. But
good riddance there, pal. You asshole.
Yeah, later, buddy. But when we're talking about other picks that kind of stand out to me, really. The one that like I don't want to spend too much time on it, but I it's so bad that I have to comment on it. It's like I can't help it. Antonio Brown being drafted in the 8th round of a 14-man league. Actually, it was the 7th, even worse. It's in the 7th round when you're still filling out your starting roster. And you know that a minimum of 8 games Antonio Brown is suspended, and that's who you reach on. I mean, like you drafted. It actually didn't look bad up until this point for Gid. I'm not trying to like hate on the guy, but I mean, I just that pick and just is you might as well. That's a throwaway. He's not even going to be on your roster more than likely later in the season. I highly doubt. Sorry.
You know what'll make your skin crawl though? Look at 4 picks later with CD Lamb. Oh my God.
Oh, like, you mean? Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll take it off here. And you, was it you that took CD Lamb?
It was like I couldn't believe that CD Lamb first off made it that far. I believe in CD Lamb. I believe in the Cowboys offense. I believe this is a guy who's going to score some tutties this year, man.
What do you think about Michael Gallup? Because our awesome co-host of the fantasy debate with Sam and Tate, Sam, she took Michael Gallup a couple picks, 5 picks before that. Like, who was the second wide receiver to own there in Dallas? I think it's CeeDee Lamb without even a question.
Both talented, and Gallup put up numbers last year. But you know what? The old phrase in the rap game is numbers never lie. But in Michael Gallup's case, and I thought he was a fine receiver at Colorado State. I really did rank him. I think I drafted him in our fantasy dynasty league that we had. I like the kid, but I like CeeDee Lamb a hell of a lot more. And I think the Cowboys are the one franchise in the NFL that when they have a player they really like, they really don't care about need. They go for player. And we've seen that year over year, right? When they like an offensive lineman, it might be a need, it might not. They go offensive lineman. They target the guys they really have their heart set on. You could tell it's CeeDee Lamb for them. And there's no chance in hell that CeeDee Lamb does not come on the scene. I think CeeDee Lamb in the slot is going to be a nightmare if that's where he ends up. CeeDee Lamb playing opposite of Amari Cooper, that's even more dangerous. Anywhere you put this guy, he's going to perform.
Well, the way I'm looking at it is that if you were to give the same amount of targets to CeeDee Lamb that Michael Gallup got last year, Michael Gallup also led the league in drops. So they took him for a reason. I get that it's, he'll still be used in 11 personnel, which that's what seems like is the NFL is heavy 3 wide receiver sets. That's normally the first lineup that teams will roll out there nowadays. So there's normally 3 starting wide receivers, but you give CeeDee Lamb 112 targets opposite of a low-end wide receiver like Amari Cooper to draw attention away from him. And of course, you have Zeke that can still demand plenty of attention as well. Lamb's going to be getting one-on-one opportunities, and unlike Gallup, he's not going to drop his opportunities. Like that, Lamb is going to ball out. It's just that they will eat into each other a little bit. They're going to be a little volatile. Gallup will still have a role, but I see significant regression. I don't see him getting over 1,000 yards. I definitely don't see him tapping 60 receptions. I think he finishes more somewhere in like the 50 to 700 range. I just think that upside is significantly capped, and Lamb is going to be the wide receiver to own in Big D.
Do you think it's the best wide receiver core in the NFL?
Yeah, I do. If you're going 3 wide receivers, the best duo tandem to me is Mike Evans and Chris Godwin.
Agreed.
So As far as other picks, though, I mean, we just kind of talked about Antonio Brown. I mean, I don't want to talk too much longer about him, but were there, I mean, I know that you slammed the dog, but I mean, Jordan, like, followed it up with Aaron Jones, and then we didn't even mention Le'Veon Bell.
I didn't slam the dog. I simply questioned Mixon here. We don't need to throw disparaging remarks at me like that.
Slammed a dog, but dude, we're talking about like now we were talking pre-show about the value that you can get at wide receiver in the 5th round. And if you decide to pass on a running back in the 1st round to go with someone like Michael Thomas, Devontae Adams, Julio Jones, whoever it may be. And I know this is a 14-man league, so it's a little bit thinner, but I mean, how comfortable do you feel if you're taking Michael Thomas at the top end of the 1st round and you're having to decide between the likes of Leonard Fournette, Todd Gurley, Chris Carson? Would you much rather go running back, and then just maybe even punt the receiver position? Because the talent in the 5th and 6th round in a 14-team league where we have to start 3 receivers every week was still very, very rich.
I think once you get past James Conner, it is kind of a dice roll running back, except Jonathan Taylor I'm really high on. Ingram is going to be a player, but Dobbins scares me. I really like the talent there with Dobbins. So my perspective is wide receiver in the 1st round is off the board for me. I can't do it. I simply can't live with it. Can't win with them. Can't do it.
Can't coach them. Can't win with them. Can't do it.
Can't do it. I just can't do it, man. Like, I look at how thin it gets so quickly once you get past James Conner. Mm-hmm. Gordon, Bell, Mostert. And I like Mostert. You know, he's my guy, but he's also not my guy. Montgomery, I don't have full faith in. I think he'll have a better year. Taylor intrigues the living shit out of me. I love Jonathan Taylor, and apparently he's blowing the socks off of their training camp.
Or he's not competing. He's train tracking people. He's train tracking his own teammates. Social distancing be damned when Jonathan Taylor is running the football, because he is more than willing to stick his nose in there. I mean, he can make you look silly in the open field too, and he can run by you. Like he's probably the next, in particular behind this offensive line, Buck. I think that in dynasty formats, I love him. I mean, like, I think he is going to be a top 5 running back probably for the next 2 to 4 or 5 seasons. And that's probably a minimum behind this offensive line. It's just this year is a little bit tricky because of COVID and having Marlon Mack there and Nyheim Hines. But, I mean, you took Taylor there in the 4th round when you could have gone another couple different directions. When do you think that transition is going to take place between Taylor taking the lead dog role away from Marlon Mack to start the season? Do you think it starts on day number 1, or do you think it doesn't really matter, just going to ride the hot hand, which the hottest hand will always be Taylor? How do you see it playing out?
Ground zero, week 1.
Really?
I think he's the better back.
That's my alarm telling me that we're recording today. Yeah, baby.
I didn't even realize that I had picked him in this draft. I wasn't looking at the names. I was just looking at kind of the way that it breaks down with these running backs. I mean, Taylor intrigues me. Obviously, I would have taken Singletary over Taylor had I had the opportunity. But it gets so thin so quickly. So I love wide receiver in the 2nd round. I love wide receiver in the 3rd round, because I think the top 12 receivers is, you know, it's pretty well defined in this draft. But after that, there's so much value between 12 and 36 that you can wait. I mean, you see it with Jordan Tate here, J Tate 4, you know, getting Odell, who, you know, on a human level, I don't understand Odell. I think he's a millennial, which I can never relate with, even though I'm a fellow millennial. I'm just like old man yells at cloud guy. But Odell, he's got a lot to prove, and hopefully he can do it. But the pick I love is right after that. Brandon Cooks. Always slept on, Tate. What is the deal with the fact that this guy is bona fide wide receiver 1 in Deshaun Watson-led offense in a team that needs a wide receiver 1? Is he as technical as DeAndre Hopkins is? No. But he has hands, and he's faster than lightning, I think he's going to get it done for those Houston Texans out there.
It's just his concussion history, man. I mean, like we're talking about Will Fuller too, which is right here in that same exact area. And there's going to be production that comes from the receiver group in Houston. It's just where it's going to go. I think that there's room for both to be productive fantasy guys. It's just they both have health issues. The only difference is that we've seen Brandon Cooks on occasion play. Well, he's never actually played He's played 16-game seasons before, so I would say he is less of an injury concern than Will Fuller. But the concussions, man, they scare me. They're starting to get up there like Jordan Reed, man. And once you start getting, I mean, it seems as if once you have a concussion problem, you are far more likely to be susceptible to them and vulnerable to them moving forward. That's all I'm saying. I mean, I guess you can make a choice. Which injury prone guy do you like more? We've seen more from Cooks at this point in their NFL career. So I get why you're giving the nod to Cooks. If he's healthy, he's a steal right there for Jordan. I totally get that.
Well, I'm very high on Cooks this year. I really believe he's going to go 1,100, 6 touchdowns, and where you're getting him, that's incredible value.
Right. But we're talking about some of these mid-round receivers. We're also talking, T.Y. Hilton, Cortland Sutton, Devontae Parker, Stephon Diggs, Terry McLaurin at the beginning of the 5th round, Tyler Boyd. I mean, I don't want to talk too much about my picks and stuff.
It's a value pick, man.
It's a good one. I really was happy when Boyd fell that far. And then you got, as you wrap around in a 14-team league, Edelman, Marquise Hollywood Brown, who I think is one of the more high upside picks that you could see this man just absolutely explode in 2020. You disagree?
Disagree. Flash in the pan, in my opinion. He's always going to be that type of gadget player. Like he's a good, tough receiver, Tate. I just don't think he's large enough. I don't know how else to say it. I think that Baltimore will continue to rely on the tight end position, as they always do. Lamar loves them. I don't know about Marquise Brown. He's one big question mark for me, and tell me why I'm wrong.
Well, one, how much separation the man can get. It's effortless. And he was doing this last year heading into the season with a bad foot, coming off of a Liz Frank injury. And then he was really plagued with ankle injuries. Now, if that's part of your argument, like you're saying he's too small to hold up and he's not going to be able to, kind of sustain a high target volume and a lot of hits. I think that's part of the reason why he bulked up a little bit in the offseason, though. I mean, he got all the way up to 180 pounds. He was down to like 157 at one point, which is insane that's a professional football player. Even though he's a speed guy, that's still tiny for a National Football League player. But he bulked up, got up to 180. If he can stay healthy, man, with how much you have to respect the Ravens running game and how wide open some of those passing lanes are, like Hollywood Brown is going to get into open space a lot. The potential is there, man. And this offense, with how much things open up, it looks almost like a college game sometimes with how much room there is for some of these Ravens pass catchers. I like Mark Andrews the most, but Hollywood Brown is definitely worth a stab here in the middle rounds. It really depends on how you make up your roster, right? Like if you've already got a couple guys like Robert Woods or Tyler Boyd or something like that, some high floor guys, I'd rather take a chance on someone like Marquise Brown rather than go with another Jarvis Landry type.
Oh, I'm absolutely on board with that over Landry. I like Marquise Brown. I own him in Dynasty. Honestly, last year he helped propel me to almost an immaculate season. Thanks, shout out final loss. That was a bummer.
I didn't win any championships either. I lost in the championship round. It's first time I haven't won a league in over 10 years.
Really?
Tough pill to swallow. Yeah.
Well, I'll take one win, one time. And then I'll retire. I won't be on the pod anymore.
Retire on top.
Yeah, I look at the rest of the receivers here. I think keying in on this 6th round is pretty important. One guy I want to talk about here is Deontay Johnson. I don't really buy the hype. Tell me why I should buy the hype.
Well, one reason is that he, of all the talented second year pass catchers, right? Of all DK Metcalf, of Terry McLaurin, of Marquise Hollywood Brown, of AJ Brown, all those players that I just mentioned, it was Deontay Johnson that led them all in receptions. And oh, by the way, he did this with Devlin Duck Hodges and Mason Rudolph.
Don't talk shit about my guys.
I'm talking shit about the guy that got his helmet ripped off his head and beat to a pulp with it. Not to a pulp, but he got bashed over the head with it. But
I was talking about Duck Hodges. I don't want any shit talk on my guy.
The dude is getting paid a lot more money than I am, and he's playing in the National Football League. I'm not going to talk too much shit about him.
What team is he on now?
I honestly,
I'm looking it up.
I have not stayed up to where Devlin Duck Hodges is and what he's up to nowadays. I know that Big Ben is healthy. I know that Big Ben, when the last time we saw him healthy, he was a top 5 fantasy quarterback. And I know that Antonio Brown was there, but
he's still in the Steelers.
This kid reminds me a little bit of Antonio Brown. He's like the light version. He's like the sugar-free version that you buy at a store. Like it does. Yeah, it's off-name brand. It's not quite Antonio Brown, but it's close.
So it's a sugar substitute from Southeast Grocers at Target.
Correct.
Okay.
Exactly. So the reason why I'm saying this, though, is because his savviness as a route runner, and he actually led all rookie receivers in receptions, and led all rookie receivers in creation of yards per distance when running a route. Like, he creates separation. The man just knows how to get open. And he's silky smooth after the catch, too. He just has to not fumble the football and, get on the same page with Ben, and I think that he will.
I hope so. I'm glad to see Ben, with a huge ass beard that he shaved finally, throwing the football around. That feels pretty good. It's like it's almost here. How many weeks are we away? 3 weeks?
What is September 10th? Yeah, we are 20 days away.
What do you think, to get kind of away from the draft, what do you feel like week 1 of the NFL is going to feel like, considering there's no warm-up games? I don't think any of these guys, besides, small scurries in practice, are going to be going full bore. What the hell is going to happen week 1?
I have no clue. I feel as if we're all just kind of blindfolded when it comes to picking up rookies and stuff like that. I mean, we can certainly try to project depth charts and stuff of that nature, man, but no one really knows. I mean, have you been even paying attention to like fantasy Twitter and, trying to see exactly what the beat writers are trying to write about these rookies? I mean, it's ludicrous, man. Like, they're like posting stat lines of targets and receptions, and, he just caught a go route, but it was with nobody covering him. It just, what the
40-yard gain there. Nice snag on air.
Dude created a lot of separation.
Well, also, they're probably
from the 10-yard line.
They're going up against like 3rd and 4th stringers if they're a rookie for the most part. Like, I don't know. I have no idea what to expect in terms of, I think it'll be football, will be football. It's just most of these guys, this is such a unique situation where I think, number one, the main thing that's hampered here is just going to be the ebb and flow of getting plays in. And like, if you're trying to run a hurry up, how that's going to run, especially with the younger players out there. This is going to be kind of wild to see, we're executing on the NFL level, not the college level, for the first time. And we're live. It's week 1. This shit matters. I'm really excited to see how that plays out.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's a low scoring week 1 because of the lack of reps, the lack of timing. I know that they're getting a lot of work in practice and stuff of that nature, but I agree. It's going to be very interesting week 1, to say the very least. In particular, the only thing that I want to pay attention to on Twitter when it comes to rookies, and if they're trending in the right direction, is if they're getting work with the ones. Like, that's when my ears perk up a little bit, is when they're getting reps with the first team. Like, for example, we really need to pay attention. Let's talk rookie receivers right now. Rookie receivers, because I think that there's a lot. This is a very, very, very very good, arguably the best in recent memory, rookie wide receiver draft class.
Agreed.
And there are so many rookie wide receivers that I like taking a dart throw at later in drafts. Is there anybody in particular that really stands out as far as their situation? Because I know we don't have any preseason games to look at, but is there anybody in particular that you find yourself targeting or eyeing once it rolls around to like the 9th, 10th, 11th round and so on?
Well, I'm going to even say probably 8th round here. I like Jerry Jeudy and I like Justin Jefferson.
Okay. Jerry Jeudy. Okay.
I think Justin Jefferson is in a better spot, but I think Jerry Jeudy is a better receiver. So it's like, what are we going to get from Drew Lock? Number one. Cortland Sutton anchoring the other side. I think Jerry Jeudy slot him in. He's starting day one, in my opinion. And I really like the talent there, but we still have such a big question mark on Drew Lock that I would prefer Jefferson because Kirky can throw the ball, man. My guy Kirky. You ever heard of him?
I've heard of him. I mean, you like that. Yeah, I've heard of him.
Yeah. No, I do like that, Derek. I do like it quite a bit. I got Kirk way deep. If you look down, way deep in the rabbit hole there. Y'all were sleeping on Kirk all the way until the 14th.
In this one, you mean Captain Kirk? You're talking Kirk Cousins. I thought you were talking about Christian Kirk because we're talking.
Oh, absolutely not. No. Christian Kirk. I like the player. I do like the player. Gotcha. But I love Kirk Cousins, man. Kirk Cousins, completely different. But let's talk rookie wide receivers. Buck, keep it channeled.
Trying to bring you back in, man. Like,
no, you were really
get over here. Like, get back here. But no, I mean, we're talking about Justin Jefferson is in part because you like Kirk Cousins and you could trust Kirk Cousins more than Drew Lock. That's why you're probably giving him the nod over Jerry Jeudy.
As I take a sip of this cold beer. I love Jerry Jeudy though, and all signs from camp are like, damn, Jerry Jeudy is breaking ankles out here with his route running.
He was doing that all the time at Alabama, and I'm not sure that he's already one of the best route runners in the National Football League day number one. We just got to see him do it. For me, though, when it comes to rookie wide receivers, and the reason why I'm staying, I like Justin Jefferson more than Jerry Jeudy, particularly because they brought in Melvin Gordon. They have Noah Fant. They have Cortland Sutton. Oh, yeah, they also drafted KJ Hamler. And, Albert O, too, which I know you and I have talked about Albert O before. I mean, he's a teammate of Drew Lock's back in Missouri. So there's just so many gifted pass catchers in this offense, all with not really having a definitive opinion yet on Drew Lock. So that's why I keep finding myself fading Jerry Jeudy. The guy for me, though, rookie wide receiver-wise, Jalen Reagor. Reagor is the one that I feel as if gives me the upside that I love and the opportunity. We're talking about you like Kirk Cousins more than Drew Lock. Well, I like Carson Wentz a hell of a lot better than even Kirk Cousins. If he can stay healthy, Reagor, if Wentz can stay healthy, Reagor is what he does well is what Wentz does well, is throw a deep ball. And Reagor can do a hell of a lot more than just, unlike Hollywood Brown, I think that Reagor plays very well through contact. I think he's more Tyreek Hill than he is Hollywood Brown when it comes to his skill set. So Reagor in particular, with no real wide receivers there, Deshaun Jackson, he'll be there for 4 games before he pulls a hamstring and he's on the shelf. Alshon Jeffrey's already starting hurt for the 2020 season. So
for perpetuity.
Yeah, I mean,
just like next to Alshon Jeffrey, it should be a medical cross, the red cross, and then perpetuity right next to it.
That reminds me of Game of Thrones. What does perpetuity mean again?
Like perpetual, forever.
Yeah, forever.
Yeah.
That's
a good word.
It's a very good word. I didn't expect to hear it today, and it caught me off guard. It just made me grin. So
I'm surprised after 2 Miller Lights, I had that in the bag.
You did pull that out of the boat.
Yeah. I hope that's a real word.
Somewhere you have a thesaurus just like taped up on the wall, and you just like look for a random word, and okay, boom, I got it.
But I say certain words wrong.
Don't we all?
What is the one Sam always calls me out on it when we do the squat up. God damn. I forget what it is. It'll come back to me, but she calls me out. Go cacophony. It's cacophony. But I pulled cacophony right out of my tuchus.
So speaking of cacophony, is there anybody that you feel like in this draft that you pulled out of your tuchus that you really liked? I mean, you just mentioned Kirk Cousins in the 13th round. Is there anybody else like that you felt like you hit I know you probably felt like you hit a home run.
John Brown.
John Brown.
Look how late that was.
10th round. 10th round. 10:08.
I'm telling you, man, watch out for the Buffalo Bills. The wagons, they're a gathering. The frontiersmen, they're a gathering as well. We got wagons, we got Bills, we got the folks of Buffalo, we have tables. We don't have anybody in the stadium, but we're going to be slamming shit through tables all year long. John Brown, I think, is the most underrated receiver in this year's fantasy football.
Really?
Yeah. Look, you add Stephon Diggs. John Brown was the number one, bona fide number one last year. John Brown is not a number one receiver. So he will benefit from having, yeah, exactly, Dried Ocean. I am a homer. I love my guy, John Brown, okay? Let me love what I love. Everybody love everybody. ELE, Eastlake Eagles. Johnny Brown, in the number one role last year, he had that instant connection with Josh Allen. I really feel like year 2 is going to be pretty wild with old John Brown there. Pretty wild because he's not – Diggs is going to garner that double coverage. John Brown is one of the fastest receivers in the NFL. Guy just burns. And he loves catching footballs. What's not to love there in the 10th round? Are you kidding me? I feel like that's a steal, Tate.
It could be. The only reason why I find other guys that I like at that point, other than John Brown, he is being clearly demoted from the number 1 target in the offense to the number 2. And was there a number 2 wide receiver outside of Cole Beasley who's still going to be playing in the slot, and Dawson Knox, who is hopefully going to be a year better and potentially be able to hold on to the damn football in 20?
He's blocking well, apparently. I've heard that.
Look, I really like Dawson Knox, but that's neither here nor there. When I'm talking about John Brown, though, I mean, this is still going to be a team that's built on running the football and playing good defense. And yes, while John Brown may be more efficient, I just don't see him being peppered with targets like he was last season, which is what gave you that security, that floor. So I think he's just going to kind of go back to being a very volatile, big play type receiver, as opposed to having that nice floor that you can count on, because it just in the second or third option in a Buffalo passing offense doesn't get me all excited.
It does me.
I like Josh Allen where you got him, though. I mean, dude, 6th round, mid-6th, guy finishes a top 6 quarterback last year.
He's got to run him in, though. He has to keep that up. And the thing is, I think he's such a maverick that even if Sean McDermott's like, hey, asshole, quit running it like a wild man, he won't care. He's just going to keep running it. He's that stubborn. He's that bullheaded. And he's going to do the same stuff. He just needs, I mean, for me, floor is 5 rushing touchdowns. He's going to score rushing touchdowns. And that really presents that Devin Singletary, Zach Moss conundrum. But I also think Zach Moss was brought in so that Josh Allen doesn't have to do all that legwork.
Well, they tried to give the ball to Frank Gore inside the 5 last year.
It didn't work.
No, it didn't. Poor Cyborg, which, by the way, shout out to Tyler, who actually drafted Frank Gore, the Cyborg himself.
Look at that. Bring that up again. Let me see that. Let me take a look at that guy. Look at him.
He's still in his Bills uniform.
I'm so intimidated by that guy.
Dude, he's not human. Look at there's not a smile to be had in that picture.
Yeah, man.
He doesn't want anything to do with making you smile.
I just love that it says age 37.
It's wild for a running back.
I love it. And he's getting drafted. Tyler, you got big balls on that one. I love it.
John Brown has so much speed. Diggs will take the coverage. I mean, thinks he's going to go ham. I mean, Brown is, again, I like there's other guys here. Like, for example, I'm Preston Williams, man. I'm a big Preston Williams believer. And if he wasn't coming off of an ACL injury, which that's why you're getting him at a discount, he would be, I'd probably think like a 6th or 7th round pick. He'd be right there with Devontae Parker. And really, Devontae Parker didn't break out last season until this young man got hurt. And do you think that they're going to get worse as a passing offense? I think the Dolphins are still going to be playing from behind a lot. I still think they're going to be throwing the football a lot. And whether it's Fitzpatrick or Tua Tagovailoa under center for Miami, I think they got decent quarterback play either way with whoever's under center.
When does Tua take the reins there? Or is this just a fear the beard type moment there?
We don't know. If we saw Tua
healthy,
if we saw Tua in a preseason game, all reports have been that Tua is healthy and cleared for football activities. But without seeing him in a preseason game, I mean, we don't know. We're just going off of what beat writers say. We're just going to have to wait for the depth chart. And somebody did actually take Tua. It was Levy. Levy took Tua with the last pick of the draft.
Who do you prefer though? Fitzpatrick or Tua? In terms of fantasy wide receiver output, I prefer Fitzy.
Well, what's one thing that you like about Fitzy, and we've experienced this with Tampa Bay. You've experienced him with how many teams has he been on now? By the way,
I believe the count is 7 or 8.
He's played for every team not named the New England Patriots in the AFC East. I would rather, to start off, I know what I can expect from Ryan Fitzpatrick. So if I'm a Devontae Parker or a Preston Williams shareholder, then yeah, I'd actually probably rather have Fitzpatrick to start the year.
I'm with you. I love Fitzy, man.
He's good for fantasy, man. He's like Jameis Winston. He's going to chuck the rock. They're going to be peppered with targets there on the outside.
Yeah, I love Fitzy.
But I mean, I mentioned that I'd rather like over John Brown. And it's not just picking on John Brown, but I mean,
you're kind of picking on John Brown.
A little bit. But when we're talking about, you get kind of through that wave of rookie wide receivers, then you kind of get into the late round values, upside, whatever you want to call it. I really like Sterling Shepard. Sterling Shepard with Danny Dimes. Speaking of another guy that's going to be throwing the football quite a bit, the New York Giants are going to be playing from behind quite a bit, I anticipate. So Shepard is, I feel, the most comfortable of those 3 wide receivers, even though I like Slayton's upside. I just feel the most comfortable with Sterling Shepard. I think he's going to be great in a PPR format as like your wide receiver 3 that you can plug and play in your flex or bye week or something of that nature.
I agree with you on that. Let's go through that run there. Sammy Watkins. Oh boy.
He's already hurt.
Of course. He's made of glass. And glass blowers.
In other news, water is wet.
I like the Brandon Ayuk pick by your brother. I'm sure you plugged that in his ear.
Actually, I did. Thank you. I did. No, but Jordan, I was like Rager, he kind of asked me to sign off on, and I actually told him Rager over Ayuk because he was kicking around both, and Ayuk happened to fall to him with the next pick. So, yeah, dude. I mean, Ayuk. I'm not going to do the whole Street Fighter reference. I did it last night.
Don't.
I know. I'll save it for certain
spots.
Don't
burn it out.
I will burn it out. I run shit into the ground. That's
you got to be like a candle that you only light sometimes.
With some of those references, I agree. It's
just be like a candle that they light once a week or something.
But when it comes to Ayuk right now, there's Jalen Hurd is probably out for the season from what I understand.
Which sucks because I think he's a great athlete, and I've been looking forward to seeing him in the NFL uniform for 2 years now. And
not going to happen. I think it's not going to happen, man. When you have 2 back-to-back years where you're basically punting the 2 first seasons of your NFL career due to major injuries, man, it's not looking good for Hurd. But no, I like Ayuk. It's just Kendrick Bourne, man. I mean, is it Kendrick Bourne? Is it Trent Taylor? Is it Brandon Ayuk? Or
it is not Trent Taylor. We talked about this last night at length.
You can definitively say it's not Trent Taylor.
I will go on record and say not a Trent Taylor believer.
Fair. Okay.
But I am a Kendrick Bourne guy.
I mean, somebody's got to get targets at the wide receiver position. I think that when there's dissolved targets, though, a lot of times those targets tend to fall either more to your stud, which is George Kittle, Or someone out of the backfield, a running back gets a few more targets, which, I mean, they are getting a healthy Jerry McKinnon, hopefully. Jarek McKinnon, my apologies. But, I won't hold my breath on that either. I like Ayuk, though, most of the receivers there that are not named.
Do you like Ayuk over John Brown?
No. That's where I draw the line. I'd rather have John Brown.
Thank you, Jordan Tate, for slipping.
The dissident dog. I'd actually like Jordan's team a little bit, but so we're talking about and tight end. I want to talk about tight ends because real quick,
Don't need to be quick. I can go long, man.
Oh yeah,
I'm not no 1 minute man.
14-team league. So you have your two studs in Kittle and Kelsey. And then it went an entire round until the back end of the fourth round with Mark Andrews. And then Zach Ertz, back to back. Are you of the opinion, because you ended up going with Austin Hooper in the 9th round, which I really like. Mm-hmm. Are you of the opinion, if you miss the boat on Kittle and Kelsey, that you just want to just wait for a tight end? Like you don't want any shares of Mark Andrews or Zach Ertz or anything like that in the 3rd, 4th, or 5th?
I want Mark Andrews.
Okay.
I actually find it kind of crazy that Mark Andrews lasted until the 4th and a 14-teamer.
You passed on it for Jonathan Taylor.
Oh, I needed the depth at running back. Look, I believe that there is a threshold, okay? And that threshold ends with Kittle, Kelsey, Andrews. And the reason Andrews is up there is simply his utilization in that offense. It's just off the charts. The guy catches every single ball. He's an absolute stud. And I love Mark Andrews, as you say.
Mark St. Andrews. Sorry.
Gets me every time. Is Braveheart on a streaming platform? I need to watch Braveheart.
It's been a long time since I've actually watched the full-on, 4-hour experience that is Braveheart.
Look, man, I got nothing but time right now. We're going to talk for another probably 10 minutes. I'm getting on some Braveheart. I don't care. I need it now that I'm inspired by Andres. And
Robert the Bruce.
Go. Do it.
They actually they actually came out with a new movie on YouTube. I think it's a sequel. Robert the Bruce. It's the same same actor who played Robert the Bruce in Braveheart. They came out with a sequel to Braveheart.
It's only on YouTube's?
I think it's on YouTube, but check it out. It's Robert the Bruce.
Oh, wow. I need to watch that.
You may have to check it out, man, if you're feeling it. I mean, just maybe
I prefer to just get Mel in all of his glory now.
Yeah, dude, it's hard to top now.
But for me, it's just like those three and then everybody else. It's an amalgamation after that. I don't like anything that you see that word I dropped, amalgamation. I don't love any of the guys after it. I don't love Ertz. Dallas Goedert is a real person. He exists. He's a human.
Really good too, man. If either of those two were not there, then you can instantly put one of those two guys right there with Kittle and Kelsey. But
Agreed.
The fact that they're going to eat into each other, they're going to be playing 11 personnel all the damn time. Dude, Goddard is a top 5 tight end. If Kelsey's not there, or if
he's going to get slot work. He'll get some slot work for sure.
100%, yeah. We do have a new listener, Raider Mondo MD. What up, my man?
We got a scrimmage.
Started a scrimmage at 1 p.m. for the Raiders. So
that's awesome. I got to get used to Raider Mondo saying Las Vegas. It is so hard. And knowing that your name is Raider Mondo MD, like the doctor of the Raider Mondos, I feel like you probably are having the same problem. Like you were talking about Oakland. I keep saying Oakland. Shout out Oakland. I'm going to have a hard time with Las Vegas all year. I'm calling it right now. So I don't want any criticism. I'll come out. It is very difficult for me to say Las Vegas Raiders.
How much does it hurt your soul that Hunter Renfrow had 2 100-yard games to finish last season, and they went ahead and drafted not only Henry Ruggs the third as the first wide receiver off the board, but then followed it up with Bryan Edwards in the very next round? I mean, they've got a lot of competition there now. They've even been kind of coming out and saying, some of the beat writers anyway, saying that Ruggs is playing a little bit in the slot. They're moving them all.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
That's
They're
not
moving them all over
surprising.
the place.
I think that Ruggs is definitely the more versatile I think no matter what, Renfro has a spot in the slot. Like think Humphreys for Tennessee.
Right.
I think it's not just a like for like comparison. They're very similar players on the football field. And I think Hunter Renfro just has tenacity, good route running. He's crisp and he's got great hands. And he's also got a set of balls on him. I mean, the guy is not going to beat anybody up in a fist fight. Although, except me, he could beat the shit out of me. That's fair. Just about anybody on any 32 teams could. I'm trying to think of who I could. Like, is Jay Feely still in the league?
Take on a National Football League roster?
Is Jay Feely still in the league? I could put the gloves on with Jay Feely.
Pat McAfee? No, I'm kidding.
No, I don't want anything to do with Pat McAfee, man.
He's pretty bulky.
But he's a punter. I wouldn't mess with any punter. I wouldn't want to box any punter. I would have to limit it to kickers. And I would have like 100-pound weight differential on most kickers.
Martin Gramatica back in the day.
Well, he weighs the same exact amount as I do. And he would beat the living piss out of me with a vodka bottle. Where were we, Tate?
I don't know where we went down. We went down a different path. We took a detour.
We were talking to Raider Mondo.
Right.
I'm going to check out this scrimmage. I want to see what's going on there in Vegas.
I would love to see who's getting runs with the ones, targets, and stuff of that nature.
I'm not upset with the Renfro thing because I think Renfro has a spot there, but fantasy-wise, I think you're right. It definitely limits.
That's what I'm talking about. Like I thought that Renfro was actually a guy I was going to be targeting if they avoided getting somebody that plays predominantly, or at least is going to take a significant amount of snaps away from him in the slot, which is exactly what happened now. Henry Ruggs, somebody you're just going to use as an ultimate weapon all over the place. So
the ultimate weapon. That's a great. Who was the ultimate weapon in the WWE?
I know the Ultimate Warrior.
No. There was an ultimate weapon too.
Was there?
Oh yeah.
I got to take a look at this.
Yeah.
The ultimate weapon.
Yeah. Look it up. It could have been just like an MMA nickname.
WWE.
I'm all over the place today, but I kind of like it.
I don't see anybody named the ultimate weapon. The 10 most notorious weapons in WWE history.
No, just look up LinkedIn, Matt Bucks. There he is. He's there.
Oh.
Ultimate weapon.
There we go. Very versatile. I remember you playing football, man. I mean, you could play a little bit of quarterback. You can move in at tight end. You could play a little split outside at wide receiver. You could be the double pass. You could be the center.
Give me the ball.
Just watch
ultimate weapon.
Bucky, the ultimate weapon.
No, but what else do you see here? And break down, do you agree with me in that top 3 threshold at tight end? What do you see beyond that?
So when it comes to, I think that there's some value still to be had in the middle rounds. I still really like Tyler Higbee. I'm a Tyler Higbee truther. You and I both are. Shout out Eastlake High School. Shout out Higbee. Shout out Coach Rick. Higbee, Sean McVay is one of the best offensive minds in the National Football League. And you can't tell me that he's just going to ignore how productive Tyler Higbee was to finish the last 5 games of the season. You can't convince me of that. Brandon Cooks is no longer there. That's a good thing. I know that Gerald Everett's still sniffing around and stuff like that, and he's a good tight end and a good player in his own right, but Higbee is the man there, and they just showed us what he's capable of doing. I don't think he quite maintains those type of numbers, but I think he has a chance to finish as a top 5 tight end this year. I still like Darren Waller, even though I like Ruggs. Ruggs is more a vertical threat. He'll still see his share of targets, but if you're talking to me about the best possession guy that the Raiders have, it is Darren Waller to me. I'm Andrews. Like you said, he's kind of flirting with that Kittle Kelsey tier. Like he's flirting with it. He's not there yet, but he's right on that cusp. Ertz, I'm fading because we already talked about Dallas Goedert and Evan Ingram. I really think Evan Ingram could lead this team in targets. And if Daniel Jones takes that step that everybody is hoping that he will as kind of a pseudo sleeper breakout candidate at quarterback, then I think it's going to have a lot to do with Evan Ingram, because Evan Ingram is a matchup issue for opposing teams. So he just needs to stay healthy. I'm fading Hayden Hurst, though. I want nothing to do with Hayden Hurst.
Really?
Nothing to do with Hunter Henry. Nothing to do with Rob Gronkowski.
Tate, let me talk to you.
What is it that you like about Hayden Hurst?
He's in the Atlanta offense.
Okay, so what? I mean, like, I get that Hooper was productive, but in what world is Hayden Hurst anywhere near the level of football player that Austin Hooper is?
I think they're pretty close.
Hooper just got paid the most, did previously reset the tight end market until Travis Kelce and George Kittle had something to say about that. But Hurst, man, I keep harping on this. If the Baltimore Ravens, who have the league MVP and are devoid of true stud wide receivers on the outside, if you really, really, really liked Hayden Hurst, then you would have kept him. You would have.
But you have Mark Andrews. They lucked out with Mark Andrews.
And you're telling me they couldn't run 12 personnel, kind of similar to the Eagles with Ertz and Goddard?
Well, they had 4 tight ends. You mentioned Nick Boyle.
Yeah, Nick Boyle too. I mean, that's true. They did have a pretty deep tight end room, but
look, I look at it a different way. I think
he was expendable is the way you're going to look at it.
But that's fine. It's all about situation for me. And Hayden Hurst, I saw enough of him in South Carolina to realize this dude's a problem. And I think, does he have some things to refine? Absolutely. But it's not like Hayden Hurst is 28 years old and he's just been flailing in the league now for 7 years. Hayden Hurst, well, he almost is.
He's 27.
I forgot that he played pro baseball.
I was actually just kind of curious. I was like, I don't know how old Hayden Hurst is.
I stand corrected. I'm thinking, this is going to be his 3rd year. But I forgot he played pro baseball for a couple of years and then went to South Carolina. So never mind. I retract all my statements, Derek. I have nothing left to offer at this judgment table.
If you really truly believe in Hayden,
no, I like the situation. Again,
situation's great. I get that.
I believe in Matty Ice throwing it to Hayden Hurst.
Well, I'll say this. I mean, do you believe that all the devoid targets that are leaving for Cleveland with Austin Hooper? I mean, you can sit here and hopefully like a math equation, just go ahead and take those numbers and plug them and apply them right to Hayden Hurst. But oftentimes, man, I think that if Hayden Hurst I don't think he's as good as people hoped he would be. Certainly he has an opportunity here, but I just think that those targets that were going to Austin Hooper are more so going to be dissolved into maybe Todd Gurley getting involved in the passing game, or more a significant uptick in targets for one of my big breakout guys.
Big Calvin
Ridley, man. Calvin Ridley. I thought that, speaking of Ridley, dude, and Austin Hooper and this Atlanta offense, Ridley really had a great stretch when Hooper went down via injury. And I thought that I'm actually kind of glad that Ridley got hurt to finish the year, because it's keeping his ADP a little bit lower. I think he's got Chris Godwin type breakout written on him.
I'm targeting him in the 4th, 5th round of every draft.
I mean, I'm ecstatic with, like, in this league, and again, not to harp too much on my team, but Woods gives me that floor, Boyd gives me that floor, Ridley gives me that boom. It's that nice mix and match, man. It's like you're cooking with Bucky, dude. You know how important it is to have the right amount of ingredients to make your team and make your dish perfect. This is how it feels for me with my 3 wide receivers.
For the record, none of my dishes are perfect. They're just exquisite.
They're pretty damn good, man. I actually did a cooking with Bucky for the Italian beef sandwich.
Did you do that? Oh, that's right. You did.
It turned out fantastic.
Hey, I can't take credit for that recipe, just the execution.
The execution is spot on, though, my friend.
I think that's all of cooking, though. We all inherit some form. I don't think there's anybody except for actual like Michelin chefs who are out there like drawing up their own recipes and shit. I think that for the most part, we're all the same.
Oh, no. We have upset someone.
No, we haven't upset
Sam Holt. Bucks, you could pull off the Hayden Hurst main look of the hair. Oh, my God, yes.
No, my hair is a mess, but I'm at this point, I'm not going to have to face a client for at least the next 4 months. This thing is growing. And I have like a patch right in the middle. I'm going to look like Rob Corddry at the end of Heartbreak Kid pretty soon. If you know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, like he's got like literally this little patch right here is barely hanging on, and it's just going to be flowing.
My wife wanted me to grow my hair out.
It's going to be on the island. Yeah. And then his kid has the same little flip in his hair. God, that rules.
Yeah. I mean, one day, man, I'm fighting it, dude. I'm taking all kinds of stuff. That is a hell of a reference. Agreed.
I take collagen once a day. Collagen peptides.
Oh, I take biotin.
Oh, wow. You're on the real shit.
Oh, yeah. Kelly makes sure about that.
Well, you have to be on camera, and unlike me, I can wear a hat, so like it doesn't matter. But you should see me on these work Zoom calls, man. Like the way I have to do my hair, and I put so much gel in it, I like slick it back. I look like Gordon Gekko. It's just an absolute mess. And then at times, though, like if it's later, like look at this shit. It's just out of control.
Yeah, dude. Wow.
But what happens is I slick it back, and then I still get like these little behind my ear guys that just like say, "Hey, fuck off, Bucks," and just like poke out. That's what happens quite a bit. It's not an ideal situation. Shout out Hayden Hurst. Shout out Sam Holt.
Yeah, Sam Holt, as always, coming in with the one-liners, coming in hot, talking about Buck's hair. I don't blame you. Buck's hair is fantastic. I have to keep it. Mine has never looked good. I'm just trying to stay, tread water, make sure it's not a detriment to my career.
You're trying not to drown.
Yeah, that's a better way to put it. I'm trying not to drown.
The hair looks good though. That's a good fade you got.
Thank you. Shout out to my girl Sarah over at New Image Salon in Cadillac, Michigan. Oh yeah, I found.
How much they paying you? How much they paying you, Tate?
What's that?
How much they paying you?
How much are they paying me? Like how much do I make on a salary annual basis before?
No, like from the New Image Salon.
They're not paying me any to give a shout out. They should.
So you get free haircuts now.
I gotta get some I gotta cut some deals, man. Give you a shout out on the Newsnet Sports Anchor Cast. Yeah, I mean, I gotta start wheeling and dealing here a little bit, but. Speaking of wheeling and dealing, any other questions, thoughts, concerns, discussion points, topics that we want to talk about before we sign off here?
Not really. I really think that this draft proves to me that number one, you have to prioritize running back. I think we should just kind of round out with what I've seen on the teams and what I like about makeups. I like running back first round. If you want to take a stab on a wide receiver, second, third round, go for it. I think that's the spot to do it if you want those top tier guys. But there's so much depth from 5 to 7 that you can really hold out. And if you want to be that guy that takes Pat Mahomes, if you want to go ahead and take Lamar Jackson, if you want to take Kyler Murray early, you can. But it boils down for me, first round, you got to go running back.
Agreed. And if you're picking at the back end of the first round, I think that at least grabbing one of those two picks with a running back to pair him with Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, whatever you want, whoever fits your fancy. I think that you do have to get a running back early and often because I think there's a significant teardrop right around through once you get through the top 15 running backs, it gets real dicey. So we have one more thought. Sam wants to know our top 3 bar foods.
Oh my goodness. I mean, it's easy for me. I'll let you go first.
Oh, you want me to go first? Bar foods. If we're going sports bar foods,
bar
foods. Got to give me some Hooters wings. Got to give me some Hooters wings first, with ranch, drummies only.
Peasant move.
Hate to break it to you, but then cheese fries, man. Cheese fries are some of my favorite comfort bar food.
Couch potatoes specifically.
Yeah. Oh, shout out Press Box there in Tampa Bay.
Oh my God.
I was there. I crushed it when I was home back in, what was it, like June? Yeah. I gave myself a tummy ache, but it was great. And then last one. Oh God. I don't know what constitutes bar food though. I mean, is it like an appetizer? Like what do I eat?
Yeah. Like what you get at a bar, Tate. This is pretty simple.
Yeah.
Like you're drinking beers, the game is on. What are you eating? You got cheese fries, you have wings.
I really like some nachos too.
I'm with you on the nachos. I like shredded chicken nachos.
Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you know what? Here All right, so my number 3 is shredded chicken nachos, but the people that complain about like the sparse chos just didn't get in on it nearly quick enough to be able to sit there and complain about it. You got to dive into the chos, get a nice chunk, a nice wedge out of that thing, pull it out, put it on the plate. Delicious. Love chos. Crab rangoon is my number 2.
Ooh, yeah, I don't eat seafood, but
Well, I mean, it's imitation crab most time, but there is a certain bar that I used to frequent, not like I can now, but crab rangoons, top notch, love them. It used to be chicken wings for me. It's not chicken wings anymore. It's not.
wow. What is it then?
It's a weird one. Onion rings. Whatever it is, dude, I love onion rings. I can't stop eating onion rings. I love the onion rings.
O-rings they're all right to me. I mean, I don't mind them if you got the right sauce to dip them in. I'm thinking maybe bloomin' onion more so, like from Outback.
See,
like,
no.
I've crushed those things though. I mean, and by the way, the nachos have to have some sort of white queso involved.
Oh no, I disagree completely with you, Derek.
Really?
This is where we will separate. I like the shredded cheese melted on that shit.
Shredded cheese is good too, but I just prefer the queso.
I love onion rings. I don't know what to say other than it's been a weird transition. I'm not vegan. Clearly, look at me. But I do appreciate a good onion ring. It's one of those weird things. Now, every time I'm at a bar, which it's been many months, I gravitate, especially when they had the onion ring tower. Like it's like this,
God, yeah.
You'd put like a paper towel roll on it, but it's just onion ring. I love that.
Potentially a game changer.
Agreed. I mean, they're
tower though. I mean, now you're talking about the tower. Now I'm gonna go to the bar. I'm gonna go to the one local sports bar that's available.
Is it open?
Yes, it's open. The party lounge. They
Do
actually
they have a tower?
I don't think they have they don't have a tower, unfortunately.
So they put it in the basket.
Now I'm feeling like wings and cheese fries and man,
and onion ring.
Damn it, Sam. Damn you. Talking about
I enjoy all food. I still love chicken wings. You know, I'll pull up. I like chicken wings. I still like chicken wings, but anymore they really hurt my heartburn.
Oh no, my chest gets tight. I mean, it's not good, and I probably shouldn't be admitting that. I mean, that's why I don't eat them very much. I haven't had a good cheese fry since I've had them once this year, and that was at Press Box. That was it. The only time I've had Press Box. So, but all right, that'll do it for this episode, special edition of Fantasy Focus Podcast. Look, if this is your first time coming across our channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Look, we got to be able to support ourselves here. So we really appreciate any and all the love, as always. Every episode is brought to you by the Original Hooters and our new partnership with Monkey Knife Fight. Again, if you have not yet done so and you are feeling a little fancy for some daily fantasy sports games, go over to Monkey Knife Fight. Use the promo code FOCUSED. When you make your first deposit of $50 or more, they will automatically deposit you with another $50. And look, I'm interested to get into some Monkey Knife Fight for the NFL, like some prop bets.
I'm pumped.
Let's do this shit. Until next time, everybody. Later, says the Tater, and enjoy your weekend.
Yeah, it wasn't that much of a special edition. This is pretty much standard boilerplate fantasy focused.